Hey, good morning. It's Thom Shepard, driving across Montana today. You know, a lot of people ask me, Thom, where do you get all the ideas for your songs? And, the honest answer is, I steal them. Okay, let me clarify. I don't steal my song ideas, but I am inspired by a lot of different things, and that's where the songs come from. That's where the song ideas and the stories come from. It's from stories I hear in live, stuff I see in movies and TV and things like that. And, I always thought, you shouldn't really reveal your sources, right? I mean, there's an old saying in the music business, amateurs borrow and professionals steal. And it's pretty true. A couple of years ago, I read this great book by this guy named Austin Kleon, and the book's called Steal Like an Artist. And in the book, Austin says, if you steal all of your ideas and stuff from one source, then you're a plagiarist. But if you steal from many sources, people will say you are completely original. And I kind of think that's true, because everything is derivative. I mean, it's really hard to come up with a really original idea that's not been written. A story that's not been told, or a song title that's not been written. Now, a lot of times when I'm driving, I like to listen to audible.com, and audiobooks and things like that. And I was listening to this autobiography recently by Bruce Springsteen. It's called Born to Run. It's really great. I highly recommend checking it out. It's pretty much his whole life story, and he's the one reading it to you. It's really great. But he was saying that he was in a band called Steel Mill, and they were pretty much like a hard rock band, and he was playing electric guitar. And they were doing okay, like in New Jersey and in Richmond, Virginia, but that was kind of their only two places that were really working for them. So he said he knew he had to change something up. So he said, I knew I needed to double down on my songwriting to really make an impact as an artist and to have a career. So what he did was he ditched playing the electric guitar, started playing acoustic guitar a lot more, and he was really influenced by the music of Bob Dylan. He really loved Bob Dylan's style and songwriting. And on Bruce Springsteen's first record, Greetings from Asbury Park, the one big single that was on that record was a song called Blinded by the Light. And y'all probably have heard the Blinded by the Light cover by the group Manfred Mann. They're the ones that made it a big hit. But if you go back and you listen to the Bruce Springsteen version of Blinded by the Light, it's pretty much sounds like Bruce Springsteen trying to write a Bob Dylan song with his, a lot of lines where like every other word rhymes and just kind of sort of the lyrical content is very, very Bob Dylan-esque, you could say. So on Bruce Springsteen's first record, even someone as famous as him, he was trying to find his voice as an artist. And he was inspired by Bob Dylan. And as it turns out, he wrote a song that sounds like it could have been a Bob Dylan song. And it was one of his first hits. And it got covered and became a huge hit by another band, Manfred Mann. So it's okay to steal. That's the thing. The thing is, you're not really stealing when you're getting inspiration from other sources. It's true. If you get an idea to write a song, let's say you want to write a song, you say, I'm going to write a Bob Dylan song. Well, it's going to be your lyrics, and it's going to be your thing. But if you're rhyming sort of in his style and talking to trying to write it in that thing, yeah, it's going to be inspired by Bob Dylan, but at the end of the day, it's going to be your voice that's singing it, as long as you're not trying to cop a bad Bob Dylan impression. The thing is, when you're inspired by other people's music or lyrics or things like that, and then you write your own song, it's going to have your fingerprints on it. It's going to have your style, even though it's kind of inspired by another artist or another style of writing. So pretty much what Austin Kleon is saying in his book is it's okay to steal, because in your head it's probably going to sound like Bob Dylan, but whatever you put out is going to sound like you with some Dylan influence. Make sense? You could ask 20 different artists to do a painting of a tree, and all 20 people are going to probably draw something that looks like a tree, but not all 20 paintings are going to be the same. Somebody might paint it as a tree that's blue or something. So everybody has their own style, everybody has their own thing, everybody's unique. And whatever you put out is you. There's not any other you in the world. You're the only you in the world. So whatever you put out is going to be your voice, your fingerprints, if you will, even though your inspiration may have come from somewhere else. The first summer that my wife Coley and I got our motorhome and set out on our voyage across America and started our American Dreamers on the Road YouTube channel, I had a lot of windshield time, a lot of driving time, a lot of time to listen to music and just think about songs and stuff. And there was this one song by a particular artist. I'm not going to reveal my source. Okay, it was Robert Earl Keen. There was this one song by him that I really, really liked. And I thought, man, I would love it if we did that song on our show. But then at the same time I thought, well, I really like that song, but I want to say something that's about us. But I wanted to have that feel. I think that the feel of the song I thought would be a great kind of song to kick off the show, like a good up-tempo, get the show in gear kind of a thing. But I also wanted to write a song about us traveling full-time in our rig. So I thought, okay, I'm going to take that Robert Earl Keen song, sort of feel, start with that as my basis, and then write a song about us traveling across the country in our rig. And maybe just write it, put in all the places that we went in the year, because we had gone to a lot of places, and I thought it would be cool to kind of like, also like the Johnny Cash song, I've Been Everywhere, Man, which was also Hank Snow did that before Johnny Cash. But see how it works? Everything's derivative. Everything comes from one to the other. Anyway, so I thought we should write a song about all the places that we've traveled to in a year in our motorhome, or where we were going to go. And our motorhome at the time that we had was a Fleetwood American Dream. And I thought it might be cool to call it, chasing down our very own American dream, going to all these places. And so we ended up recording that on the album Saltwater Cowboy, which is available at this link right here. And it really turned out great, and that's the song that we've used to kick off our shows together for the last year and a half or so. And I just love that song. It's a rockin' kind of thing. But it all sort of started with wanting to have a song that had the sort of same energy and feel as the Robert Earl Keen song. Now, pretty much all we borrowed from Robert Earl was just the feel, the energy, the tempo. Doesn't have any of the same chords. None of the lyrics are the same. The story is totally not even similar to his thing. But his song was our inspiration. And that's what got the ball rolling on it. And I love that song. And I'm so glad that we did that. And I think it's very freeing as an artist to take inspiration like that and infuse it in what you do and come up with something totally new. It might be kind of fun to see if y'all can guess what song I'm talking about of Robert Earl's that inspired our song American Dream. So listen to our song American Dream on the Saltwater Cowboy album, and then in the comments below, tell me which Robert Earl Keen song you think it was that inspired it. It might be really obvious, it might not be. I'll give you another example of a recent song that was inspired by a lot of different things. So I just recently wrote this song with a guy named Mark Mulligan called Same Beer, Different Can. And it just came out online, and you can find it at these links right here. And that song, Same Beer, Different Can, was inspired by a song I wrote called The Only Way He Knew How, which was recorded by Bucky Covington, and a group called High Valley from Canada recorded it. And it's a song about my dad, and it pretty much tells about how he was saying I love you the only way he knew how. He never actually said I love you, but he was saying it by checking your oil and checking your car, fixing stuff at your house, and and that song has really affected a lot of folks. When I play it live, a lot of people say, "Man, that's my dad. That's my dad exactly." And we share a lot of experiences. Well, I had told the story many times on stage about when we played that song over in Saudi Arabia. We were on one of our military tours over there, and at the end of the show, this guy came up to me and he said, "Man, that song about your dad, that's my dad exactly." And he just passed away this year, so your song really got to me, and I just want to thank you for writing that, because I feel like you wrote it about my dad. Now, the interesting thing about this guy was that he was an Arab guy, and apparently his dad and my dad are really similar. So Mark Mulligan heard me tell that story on stage about the Arab guy really being affected by my song, and he said, "I'm working on this song called Same Beer, Different Can, and I want to put your story about going overseas and meeting the Arab guy into the second verse of my song." So we ended up writing the song together. Mark had a lot of it fleshed out, but I ended up going in and we rewrote a little bit of stuff together, because I wanted the second verse to sound like I was saying it, not like Mark was saying it. And then we didn't really have a melody to go by, so we were trying to think, well, what would be a good feel for this song? And at the time, I was listening to this Max Stalling record. Max is a great Texas music artist, and there was a song on there of his that I really liked. I really liked the feel of it, and I thought, well, maybe our song should be that feel. So I was playing around with it. We ended up finishing the song, Same Beer, Different Can, and I went and I realized, oh no, I totally stole Max's chord structure for his intro. I mean, the intro to our song and Max's song is pretty much the same chords, almost verbatim. So I felt kind of bad about it. So I ran into Max Stalling out at this trail ride we go on every year, and I said, "Hey, let me play you this new song of mine. Tell me what you think." So I played the intro of the song for him. I said, "What do you think about that? Does that sound familiar?" He said, "No, not really." So let me play it again. Played it again. He said, "No, I don't know that. I've never heard that song." I said, "Well, it's your intro to your song." And he said, "Oh, dude, there are only so many chords and so many patterns and so many ways to put them together." I think the interesting thing about when I played the song for Max, I played him his exact chords back to him, and he didn't recognize it. He didn't recognize it because it was the same chords, but it was me putting my spin on it. And so it didn't sound like his song. To him it didn't. To me it did, but to him it didn't. So that song, Same Beer, Different Can, is inspired by a lot of different things. It's inspired by meeting the guy in Saudi Arabia. It's inspired by the song I wrote about my dad. The melody is kind of borrowed or stolen from my good friend Max Stalling's record. So all of those things came together to make Same Beer, Different Can a really cool song. And I'm really proud of it, the way that it turned out. Now, if you want to hear Mark Mulligan's version, it's the title track of his latest record, Same Beer, Different Can. And we recorded it as a duet, where Mark starts the song, and then I come in on the second verse telling my story about what happened in Saudi Arabia. So if you want to hear Mark's version, the link is right here. And if you want to hear my version, the link is right here. Actually, the inspiration for doing this video today came from listening to a Jimmy Buffett project that's called Buried Treasure. Yesterday, as I was driving across Montana, heading to the show, I was listening to that record, and it's really great because it's Jimmy Buffett's very first stuff that he wrote and recorded way back. And the cool thing about this record is every other track is the song and then kind of the story behind it and where it came from. And the very first track on there, or the second track, he says, "Now you just listen to that last song there," and he's like, "And if you want to know where the inspiration came from for that song, I've got two words for you: Gordon Lightfoot." And Jimmy freely admits Gordon Lightfoot was, the way that he got inspired to kind of get started and write songs. Jimmy said also, Mark Twain said, all ideas are secondhand, either consciously or subconsciously. Jimmy also says on that recording that Oscar Wilde said, "Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery that mediocrity can pay to greatness." So basically Jimmy's saying when he started out he was kind of mediocre, but he was trying to emulate somebody else. And with a good work ethic and some good luck and really working on your craft, he was able to develop his own style from following somebody else's style or sort of copying somebody else's style. And eventually he became Jimmy Buffett. So on that recording on Buried Treasure, Jimmy talks about how he got to finally meet Gordon Lightfoot several years ago, and he got to go backstage and talk to him, and he got to thank him for being his inspiration. And Gordon Lightfoot said, "You know, Jimmy, you seem to be doing pretty good on your own now. Just pass it on. Pass on the inspiration on to the next people." Also in that recording, Jimmy says, "I know there's a lot of other artists out there that emulate my style, and I'm totally fine with that. Good for them. I'm doing what Gordon Lightfoot said. I'm passing it on." When you finally find your own voice as a writer, or you're lucky enough to have some success or something, and then people will start emulating what you do because you emulated what somebody else did before you. Just like Bruce Springsteen emulated Bob Dylan, and Bob Dylan emulated Woody Guthrie, and Woody Guthrie probably was inspired by Hank Williams before that, and who knows who Hank Williams was inspired by before him. Jimmy Rogers probably way back. So it just goes to show you it's okay to be derivative. It's okay because there aren't any original ideas. But what is original is you. You are what's original. So it's okay to take your inspiration from many other sources, like Austin Kleon says in the book, Steal Like an Artist. If you steal from many, many, many sources, people will say you're completely original. Think about that. And then hopefully you're the inspiration for somebody else someday down the road. So my challenge to you today, dear songwriter friend, or not just songwriters, anybody that does anything creative, whatever you're working on, find something that inspires you and try to write or create your own version of it. Just like the track on the Jimmy Buffett Buried Treasure record kind of inspired me to create this video about where inspiration comes from, or where Bruce Springsteen was inspired by Bob Dylan. I mean, if you like Tom Petty, go out, try to write a song that's something that you want to say, but imagine you're Tom Petty singing it. When you sing it, you're not going to sound like Tom Petty, you're going to sound like you. But it's going to have those influences, and it may put a little different flavor, different style on what you're doing, but it's still going to be you. It's still going to sound like you. So my challenge to you today is to create something that is inspired by an artist that you like. And like I said, it's not just songs. It could be anything. It could be stuff in your business that you're trying to emulate, that you see a successful business that you like. So you try to emulate that and take what other companies are doing and put it in your thing, but put your own fingerprints on it and make it your own. There are a lot of songs of mine that I can look at now and I go back and I think, oh yeah, I got that piece from that song, and that was inspired by a movie, or this idea was inspired by a book. I can look back at a lot of my tunes and touch on where the inspiration came from for those things. Now, I'm not going to reveal my sources, but honestly, I'm inspired by so many different things: books, movies, television, stuff I see on YouTube, all kinds of things. So what I'm saying to you today is go out there and start stealing. I'm not saying it will improve your writing, but I think it will give it some more depth and dynamics, and it's just something to think about. So there you go. Now get after it. Please be sure to subscribe to this channel and mash that like button, and share this if you got something out of it. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you're working on creatively, and how you've been inspired by other things, and how you can pass it on to other people. Until next time, I'm Thom Shepherd. I'll see you somewhere out on the road. Dang. My water done froze up. It's cold out here in Montana today. See you next time.